I mentioned some of it the other day, but I got like more info and more like a definitive, like what's gonna happen or what's not gonna happen kind of thing. I don't really know. Ugh. I'll just say to preface all this, I was doing a lot of like legal everything yesterday. So I do have like whatever merch update I've got. There's something else going on in the back end that is really awful legally. I'll tell you when I can. I just like some stuff still has to get sorted. There's some stuff that's just really potentially awful. And it's kind of a scenario where it's either like do the one thing I would like to do, but could end up really badly for me, or do the thing to make sure that that doesn't end up badly, but something else bad happens. So it's just like, there's just a really bad lose-lose situation going on. And I'm trying to like figure out like what to do there. It's just a really, really, really frustrating scenario. And I'm trying to offer other solutions to perhaps make things like work out the way they should without anything awful happening. Not even that we're going to get repaid or anything like that. Like not even that, just like legal scenario. And it's just such an annoying situation that shouldn't be happening the way it is. It's just, I don't know. It just sucks. So I am working on that. From what I understand, which we already knew this, I'm just recapping. From what I understand, we put up merch. VShojo didn't pay any fees to the warehouse. So when everything started kind of going down and we paused merch and all that, they were telling me that we were trying to like get unfulfilled stuff sent out before figuring out what to do with the unsold stuff. And I was like, we'll see, because pretty much everything like on the legal side or like operational side had just been taking forever. So I had no confidence it was really going to happen. They didn't pay any of the fees to the warehouse that was holding the items. And it was a fulfillment center, right? So there's a third-party company that houses all the merch, and then when orders come into them, they send it out. And then from what I understand, they send a bill to VShojo to get that paid, you know, before, after, whenever. I don't really know when, but there's some billing involved or something, and that is the money that gets paid to them for all their work, right? I don't know in what amount, I don't know for how long or whatever, but money was not paid to that company, so they just have the merch. So that is there. I don't dislike or hate that company or anything. I want to say that. Like, I don't think they're doing anything wrong from their perspective. They're just protecting themselves. They never got paid. And then a bunch of creators are like, can we get our stuff? And they're like, we never got paid, right? So one member at some point was like, let me pay whatever the fees are to that company, to the warehouse. I want to just cover it so that that's all settled up. Then we can go from there and getting our merch. For some reason, and I have no idea why or how, but for some reason, VShojo is blocking that. That is not being allowed to happen. So question marks. I have no clue. All I can imagine is it's maybe because they're trying to go bankrupt. This is like assets that they have that could be liquidated and then something recouped. That's my guess, but I don't know. That is not fact or anything. That is the only assumption I can make. The only assumption that would make sense. But the thing is, I have a contract, an exit agreement between myself and VShojo, separate from my original contract. And one of the things in there is specifically releasing my merchandise to me, even in exchange for some other things. I was like, the one thing I want to get out of this is, since I know I'm not going to get paid, I know blah, 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 like obviously the debt still exists, but like beforehand, just release the physical merchandise to me. And Gunrun signed it. So between me and the company, and I signed it, between myself and the company, there's a contract that exists that one thing that includes is that I am owed my merchandise, including unfulfilled and unsold, yet this is still happening. So that's a fun situation to be in. That's, I cannot tell what the is going on with that. I don't know. I assume when they bankrupt, maybe some of this stuff will be liquidated or sold to auction. Maybe they'll be like, ooh, do you want to buy it? Or some stupid shit. I don't know. I am legally owed it by way of the paper that was signed, but I don't know. But yeah, so that is all where it is. For everyone saying, oh, you can sue, you can sue, you can sue. That's very dicey over certain things. It's possible and not possible in some ways. I could try and sue the company that has no money and get nothing out of it. Maybe I could pay legal fees to then get the merch and then have paid like 500 times over and over just to recoup merch that I then also have to pay to ship. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, suing is very expensive and a lot of work. It takes forever. I don't know if I could get things frozen in time. Stuff could just like get liquidated during the bankruptcy in that time. So what the fuck, you know? Also, depending on how suing is done, it may require me to expose all of my legal information information, which is kind of like not the point of this whole thing. There are ways to get around that, but not easily, and usually they don't they don't work in this scenario a lot of the time. So yeah, they have that leverage over people, etc., etc. Yeah, suing completely risks our identities, which is wonderful and great. Loss of the merch, the money, the time, the legal fees, the opportunities lost. Yeah, the other thing is the more you entertain a lot of this stuff, the more it freezes certain things, and you become unable to do a lot of stuff that you want to do moving forward to recoup losses, to recoup money of some sort, you know? I've made it very clear many times, all of my old finances were wiped out by medical stuff. I, for a long time, have paid a lot of expensive medical bills, because as you guys know, I've had cancer within the last couple of years. So there's a lot of follow-up cost relating to that. And then on top of that, I don't just support myself, I support another family member or two, really, financially. It's not just me. So, you know, I don't like get to take all the money I make and just like sit on it like a dragon hoarding its treasures or something. I actually need to use it for stuff. It goes out, you know? So whatever I don't make is actually an awful, awful hit to me. And I've stood there and told people in person, looking into their eyes about like, oh yeah, my medical scenario and it's very expensive. And then those same people are like, that's so crazy, you know? And then this shit's happening. So I'm like, man, here I am. I think if I had a lot of money, it'd be super worth, maybe not value-wise, but like, you know, it would feel worth my time, but I'm like, I'm not that girl. I'm not that girl, you know? What'd you say, Matara? You said, imagine being called crazy over this. Imagine getting called problematic over this because you noticed some things that were weird that weren't even nearly this bad yet. And we're like, I don't think that's good. I think I need to go. Imagine. Dude, absolutely insane. I had another staff member talk to me more recently. Just kind of came back out of the woodwork and was like, hi, I hope things are well, you know, just reconnecting. And they gave me a lot of like info on what was said behind the scenes about talent and how us simply discussing between ourselves as members, like simply discussing all of this stuff and how like this is when we didn't even have half the information we have now, right? Just hearing how that was portrayed to staff, and like if someone said something to someone else, it was portrayed as like, oh, this talent hates that talent, that's why they're saying this thing or something, not like they're bringing up a real concern or anything. Crazy. It's heartbreaking. Yeah, Mata, it makes it so hard to like want to ever work with anyone ever, even if you know like generally there are people out there that are going to keep people's best interests in mind. It just makes you not want to talk to anyone ever in your life. You know, I was like, dude, we were sitting there pointing out things and going, is this weird? I noticed this. Does anyone else deal with this? And then other people going, oh my God, there's no way that this is real. And then us just trying to figure out if something's real, right? Like just people like reasonably like reacting when finding out crazy shit. And that's gotten spun in crazy ways. And it's insane because now like there's some stuff that I can look back on and, you know, hindsight's 2020. I'm like, oh, that's why this person acted this way, or that's why that thing was said, or, you know, whatever. And like the way they also tried to like really divide us members was insane. Absolutely insane. There were people that were being like fed things, you know, to make them like think stuff was different than it was between members. And it's just like, I don't know. And it caused a lot of people to just like be quiet and sit in their own corner because no one could tell what was real and what wasn't. Like the only thing that works in that scenario is someone sharing a screenshot, or like if anything was recorded, which is like, you know, vocally, which is only like some meetings and stuff, you know, no one's like privately recording anyone. So like what else can you trust besides definitive proof? So when you're hearing different things from different people about what people think about you or how this situation went down or blah, 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 like what can you even do? I remember like when, Matara's stuff was announced internally that she was leaving, I asked like a couple of members if they knew what was going on. I remember calling a few people over the next couple of days and being like, do you have any idea what was happening? Because I'm hearing conflicting stuff. And it was like everyone had heard something entirely different from each other and different from what Matara like later said the situation was. Everything was different across the board. And I'm like, what? I don't know who was told what and by who and for what purpose. And I have like 20 different conflicting stories. Like it's just, I don't know. It was just a crazy time. And even now, a lot of that is not like sorted out. I still don't know who said what and why, you know? And darn Matara with her conflicting stories. Mata, no, genuinely everything she said, like she was so careful about what she said in the beginning too. She didn't want to like say too much. In hindsight, I'm like, wow, I wish you said more up front, but at the same time, you couldn't like legally, you know? So that was fine. And then everything that she did say was within the bounds of what she felt she could say, and her story was kept straight the whole time. And, you know, when she could, showed evidence, proof that made me comfortable believing her, whereas stuff I was hearing to the contrary, I saw no evidence or proof. It was just people saying stuff. Everything you said was very plausible. The other stuff, I was like, that doesn't sound like her. I'm gonna reply to your tweet. Yeah, so she told me about this. Her situation is also like, there's another level of weird with hers. TLDR, some merch that she had pre-VShojo, stuff that she paid for and then sent to that warehouse to be held there and fulfilled out of there because she was consolidating like her new merch versus her stuff pre-VShojo into one location. A lot of those items are in that facility that they're holding up too. Like, this is stuff that she owned, was her property that she paid for and then was going to sell. Some of that is included in her merchandise that's being held at that warehouse that we can't like get stuff from. Feel bad for the artists involved in the merch. Yeah, I've been checking in with people. If there's like a name that pops into my head or I see them around, I'm like, oh, they did a thing for me. I've been checking to make sure that they were paid. And so far, at least for my people, the ones I've asked so far have all been paid, which is good. So that's cool.
Must feed.
But the problem is a lot of them were paid and it was taken out of like quote unquote my account, right? Let's say they owed me $1,000. They were holding $1,000 of my merch revenue or profit that was supposed to go to me. And then I had an artist to be paid and I was like, this guy has a bill that's $1,000 for this thing. I would be like, yo, VShojo, can you pay it? And sometimes they would. And so people were getting paid up, but where did that money come from if like all of the money owed to us didn't exist? Either they were taking it from whatever little bits liquid they had that was supposed to go to other talents as well. Like our entire pool was used for stuff and that was one of the included things. Or like someone was just paying for it like on their own to make things look okay. I don't know, right? They paid it with your money. Like I think on paper that's what they were saying, yes, but like the funds were just all in one big pool from what I understand. There's just a money pile. And the bookkeeping was not done well. So whatever amounts they've claimed they owe me still, or they've claimed were paid out for me, etc., I have no way to verify if those are real. I have no receipts from them. The financial report they gave me was just titled GEEGA Financial Report, the one for last year for 2024 and prior. They were supposed to give me like more regular reports. I was supposed to get something like quarterly and they just gave me like one at the end of the year around tax time when I asked, only because I asked. And I was pushing for it and it took them so long to make it. And then when I opened the file, it was just an Excel file. And it was like, it looked so manually done. And I was like, this is crazy. You should be able to automate like everything we've got going on here so easily. There should be 2 days of work to make a fully automated sheet that we just enter shit into and like grab CSVs from like the merch stuff, have that get imported. Like this stuff should all be systemized in a way, automated and easy to spit out reports from. And it's only like, it's not even that many hours of work. Like I saw that report and I was looking at it and I was like, what? It was definitely not automated. This was them, like someone sitting there and scrolling through their records of like everything and then just being like, oh, this one was hers, types it in. That one was hers, types it in. I'm just imagining C-suites relaxing on leather sofas, ignoring emails, thinking it's just too much emotionally. Looking like those commercials where they're like, I don't know how to do my taxes. It's so hard. And they've got like their head in their hands. A member called this one C-level person a while back to ask them a question or like message them. No, I think they messaged them, not called them. And they wanted to know like something. Hey, would you be available for this thing? I need this thing. And they were like, sorry, I'm on a boat in the Mediterranean. And like at the time we were like, whatever, it's a vacation. But then later I remember this member brought it back up to me and was like, do you remember this? Do you remember when I was looking for that person? I told you I couldn't like get to them and you said, yeah, I haven't heard from them either. And then like they finally messaged back and were like, oh yeah, I'm on a boat. I think it was like near Greece or something. And you know, at the time like the cracks were not showing yet. So we were just like, okay. But that was the one thing that I did complain about a lot, was I kept complaining about people not being available. And I would be like, hey, what's going on with this? Well, for me, it wasn't really C-levels as much because I wasn't tapping them to do regular work for me the same way as I would tap like some other staff. There was this one biz dev person that I swear to God, I would have all these questions about a sponsor, about this thing, about that thing, all this stuff relating to like billing. I'd be like, hey, I need to know, the sponsor says they didn't get an invoice from you and they're emailing like my email. What's going on with that? So I'd try to get like a hold of them and they wouldn't answer. So I'd ask another staff member, I'd be like, where are they? They haven't answered in like 3 days. And I'm just trying to like get this billing done and it's their responsibility. And that staff member would be like, the secondary one that I would ask would be like, oh, they're at this convention. Oh, they're out of office for 10 days. Sometimes it was convention, sometimes it was other stuff. They would be like out of office and traveling literally all the time. And I'm like, what? Huh? It was the same person. I again complained about them because there was a convention appearance that was so someone from my team was emailed. My assistant was like, hey, I have the ability to pitch you to go to this con and get paid for it, which is cool because they don't always pay us for it, you know? So I was like, oh, I'd love to go for that. It was a con that I liked too. So I was like, yeah, that'd be great. And they were like, yeah, they're also asking about other talents from the company. So I connected my assistant and a biz dev person, and I was like, you guys talk about that, get that done. And then that business person just like ghosted emails and didn't say anything, didn't answer in a Discord server, literally didn't check like a VShojo work Discord server all the time, like just never checked it. My own manager from VShojo would have to ping them to check chats talking about work stuff, and they just didn't answer. And in the end, none of us got to go to that convention and get paid. I got to go through a booth, but that wasn't the original thing. Like the convention itself was trying to contact us for this, right? Like, and I was like, oh my god, it was free money. It was free money, man. Not just for me, but for the company, right? That was baffling. And there was so much that was like, how are we supposed to figure out what's real and what isn't when we can't even talk to people, you know? So it was just tough. I mean, Gunrun was very reputable before and throughout the existence of VShojo. So it turns out he wasn't on the back end. I think people just weren't saying it. Because when shit went down, I have a friend who used to work at Twitch and was one of the people that like got a lot of his work dumped on him when he left. Like Gun left, and then this person, like amongst some other people on a team, were working on this stuff. And this person does not have good accounts of him and his work there. And so do others that also worked with him there. And allegedly he was just known for doing a lot of nothing and just being like the face of things, and did a lot of talking, which I think there are times where that is very valuable. Not really like a lot of other actual stuff. It's not like the dude was like a big developer making stuff in the company work, you know, or anything. One of the things that really solidified me deciding to put in my notice to leave was when I saw Phoebe on the slides of people that they wanted to add. Because I know her. I've known her for a long time. And I know how hard she works. And I know what resources she needs and the things she was likely to ask for. And I was like, they can't deliver on like any of that right now. Unless they got another like investment and they could just dump like money in and not make money back. But like, they can't do this. And that was one of the things that solidified like I gotta go, which sucked because I was also really happy because I was like, oh, there's my friend. And I would have loved to be in a group with this friend joining, you know, like I was like really excited about the people that they had. I thought that part was great. But then like the full picture, taking a step back, I was like, I gotta go. I told them specifically, I was like, you have to let me leave before they join, you know, because like I don't want to be a part of like, I'm here and promoting this and being like, oh, everything's great, everything's fun, yay. And then like, then I leave. And I'm like, it just wasn't working out. You know what I mean? Like it would be like, I would feel complicit in these people wanting to join. So I was like, you have to tell them that I'm leaving. You have to tell them that I'm leaving, you know, like so that if they're joining, they're doing it knowing that I'm leaving as well. I don't know if they were told. I don't know. And then I was like, what if they think I leave because I hate them or something? You know what I mean? I was like, I don't want that scenario either. But then I'd have to tell them like why I'm leaving, which is a bunch of other you know, it was just like this weird scenario, and I wasn't sure who could hear what yet because they still wouldn't tell me for the longest time if they were signed yet. And eventually they did say they were signed, and I was like, what? Because they made it seem really hard earlier, like they weren't. I think one of them said they were signed since like January or like the winter or something already. And I was like, what do you mean? Because I was asking like back then and they wouldn't tell me. I said, I'd say I paid for 90% of my own assets too. When they brought me in, they gave me this stipend and were like, you can spend this. And it was written into my financial report, like, this is my money to spend, right? And that covered some things for my VShojo debut, but a lot of that I had already paid for myself. And it was because it was planned to just be an October debut and outfit on its own, like already. So I was already doing that as an indie. And then when I got picked up by VShojo, then I was like, okay, I'll just make it my VShojo outfit debut. I'll just do it at the same time, but it's like my own thing, right? So I'd already paid for a lot of that myself. And then they were able to like cover the rigging through the stipend, but the way it was explained to me was like, this is your money to spend. Everyone gets this every year. I was like, okay. So it's written as an expense to an account with money that had that much in it, right? And then after that, literally everything was just out of money that I made. Either I paid for it myself directly, or like I said, if I did a sponsorship and I got $50 from that sponsorship and they were holding $50 for me, VShojo was, and then I owed an artist $50 for like some merch art they did, they drew a sticker, then I would be like, hey, can you pay them that $50? And they would do that. So everything was paid out of like money that I had or was owed or whatever you want to call it. So yeah. They paid for one art commission for me in the last couple of years and they said I owe them. Yeah, they tried to come for me for like 2024 and tried to say that I like owed them something because they were expensing everything. And that was when I like got confirmation for sure that that the stipend like 100% did not exist and was not coming back. I was like, oh, okay. And then I was like, well, just take it out of like whatever you're holding for me currently of like sponsor money or merch money or whatever, like, because I know that's there. So no, I didn't actually end up like having to pay them or owing them or anything, but it definitely all came out of that, which was crazy. What they actually do, I know. I mean, our talent managers were cool, but I always felt like the stuff that they did wasn't like crazy, and they could have done it with maybe 5 staff, and then that would be not much to have to pay in staff salaries, and with the amount that they made in, they would have been able to be like fine. Fruit. Float. I want to do a concert. I even told them, I was like, you know, I want to do like so much dance stuff. I'd love to do a concert, because like not only could I actually dance and like not be mocapped by someone else, like I would do it myself. I was like, I could also do this for other members if anyone needs that. It'd be so fun. And I just never got to do it. That was why I was getting the bodysuit too. I was like ready. I was ready for that shit.